Gregory Montgomery is a man who has crafted his empire with relentless ambition and sharp business acumen. His rise from modest beginnings to the pinnacle of wealth and influence is a story often told in the circles he frequents, yet few truly know the man behind the public image. Gregory's life unfolds within the walls of a sprawling mansion, a fortress of luxury that reflects his success but also serves as a barrier between him and the realities beyond. Within this grand estate, the rhythm of daily life is meticulously maintained, largely thanks to the dedicated efforts of his housekeeper, Eva. She has served Gregory for many years, her presence steady and unobtrusive as she ensures every corner of the mansion gleams and every detail is perfect. Eva's world is vastly different from Gregory's. Her days are long, filled with chores and endless tasks that keep the household running smoothly. Outside the mansion, her life is marked by struggle, a constant balancing act between making ends meet and managing a family crisis she carefully conceals from her employer. Gregory's relationship with his staff is distant and transactional. He sees them as necessary conveniences, their personal stories irrelevant to the efficient running of his life. His focus remains on boardrooms, contracts, and high-stakes negotiations, leaving little room for empathy or genuine connection. Eva, despite her years of service and loyalty, is just another face in the background, a fixture whose hardships are invisible to the billionaire who inhabits the house she maintains. His days follow a predictable pattern: meetings that stretch late into the evening, luxurious dinners, and moments of indulgence in the finer things his wealth affords. The mansion is a sanctuary of comfort, yet also a place of emotional isolation, where genuine human interaction is rare. Gregory's worldview is shaped by privilege and distance. He rarely questions the ease with which he moves through life, buffered by wealth and status. One evening, after an especially long business meeting, Gregory returns home to find the mansion unusually quiet. The usual hum of activity is missing, the staff who typically tend to his needs are nowhere to be seen. Eva is the only one present, her figure a familiar but often overlooked presence in the grand space. Gregory notices that her belongings are missing, and without much thought, he assumes she has left for the day, perhaps called away by some personal matter. The following morning, as Gregory steps outside toward his car, the unexpected confronts him. Near the edge of his property, under the indifferent gaze of the early sun, he sees Eva sleeping on the street, surrounded by the detritus of hardship. The image is jarring, a stark contrast to the pristine world he inhabits. The woman who has cared for his home, who has been a constant in his life for years, is now exposed to the harshness of the streets, vulnerable and unseen. This moment is a rupture in Gregory's carefully constructed world. The disparity between his life of abundance and Eva's harsh reality is laid bare in a way he can no longer ignore. The shock unsettles him deeply, forcing a confrontation with truths he has long evaded. He begins to see Eva not as an extension of his household staff but as a person with struggles and dignity, a life complicated and fraught in ways his privilege has shielded him from understanding. The sight of Eva on the street becomes the catalyst for a shift in Gregory's perspective. It challenges the complacency bred by wealth and compels him to question the assumptions that have shaped his interactions with those around him. The boundaries between his insulated existence and the outside world start to blur, opening the door to a new awareness of social and personal responsibility. At the same time, this revelation ignites a silent reckoning within Gregory. He is confronted with the consequences of neglect, not just of people like Eva, but of the human connections that his relentless pursuit of success has sacrificed. The encounter plants the seeds of change, though how deeply that change will take root remains uncertain. Eva, meanwhile, embodies resilience amid adversity. Her presence on the street reflects more than just circumstance, it reveals the fragility of those who serve the privileged, often invisible until crisis brings them into stark relief. Her life is a testament to the quiet struggles endured behind closed doors, the balancing act between survival and dignity that defines the lives of many who live in the shadows of wealth. The chapter captures the contrast between Gregory's careless world, luxurious, insulated, and indifferent, and Eva's reality, marked by hardship, endurance, and unspoken pain. It explores themes of invisibility, privilege, and the often unseen human cost behind the facade of success. The story begins with a powerful juxtaposition that challenges readers to consider the disparities that exist within society and the personal awakenings that arise when those disparities become impossible to ignore. As Gregory grapples with the image of Eva on the street, the narrative sets the stage for a deeper exploration of power, empathy, and redemption. The inciting incident jolts both characters into new trajectories, promising a journey where walls both literal and metaphorical may be broken down. In this first chapter, the fragile threads of a careless world begin to unravel, revealing the complexity and humanity beneath the surface of wealth and status. Gregory's world tilted the moment he saw Eva huddled outside his mansion, a figure he had always considered merely a part of the household background, now reduced to someone visibly struggling on the streets. Confusion clouded his mind. How could someone so close, so familiar, be living in such dire circumstances? The image clashed violently with the orderly, luxurious life Gregory maintained. His disbelief made the moment feel surreal, as if the very ground beneath his feet had shifted. Unable to contain his turmoil, Gregory confronted Eva, his voice sharp but laced with concern. He demanded an explanation, trying to understand why she had come to such a desperate state to sleep outside the home where she worked. Eva's embarrassment was palpable. She hesitated, the weight of her hardships evident in her downcast eyes. For so long, she had concealed the details of her life, afraid that revealing her vulnerabilities would change how Gregory saw her. Yet, in this moment, something gave way, and she began to share her story. Eva spoke quietly, her voice trembling with a mixture of shame and exhaustion. Her mother's sudden illness had devastated their family, and the costs of medical care quickly became overwhelming. What little savings Eva had were drained by emergency bills and treatments, forcing her to make impossible choices. The small apartment she once called home became unaffordable. The pressure to keep up with rent, utilities, and basic necessities piled up, until there was no other option left but to find refuge outside. Gregory listened, a mixture of shock and guilt washing over him. The reality of Eva's struggles was a stark contrast to the comfortable bubble in which he lived. He realized, painfully, that he had never truly seen her, not really. She had been an employee, a presence in his life so routine that he had taken her for granted, never stopping to consider the burdens she carried beyond her duties. The revelation unsettled him deeply, stirring a newfound awareness of the privilege that had blinded him to the challenges faced by those around him. In response, Gregory instinctively offered a temporary solution, an alternative place to stay, financial help, anything that could ease her immediate pain. But Eva's reaction surprised him. She refused, not out of ingratitude, but from a fierce desire to maintain her dignity. Accepting help from her employer felt like admitting weakness, like a surrender that would strip her of the independence she clung to desperately. Eva's refusal forced Gregory to confront his own preconceptions. He realized that his instinct to solve problems with money alone was shallow and insufficient. The conversation between them became a mirror, reflecting Gregory's sheltered life and Eva's harsh reality. It exposed the gulf between their worlds, a chasm marked by unspoken struggles and overlooked humanity. Gregory found himself questioning the very foundations of his existence. Was his wealth a shield that separated him from the true experiences of those who served him? Had he unknowingly contributed to a system that ignored or dismissed the pain of others? Though a part of him wanted to simply fix the problem with a check or a quick solution, he sensed that the issues were far more complex. The raw vulnerability Eva showed challenged him to rethink how he approached his relationships with people, not just as employer and employee, but as fellow human beings. He was beginning to understand that his role was not just about providing for her but about acknowledging her struggles with empathy and respect. Yet, despite this budding awareness, Gregory's discomfort was clear. He lacked the language and experience to fully grasp the depth of Eva's situation. His hesitations betrayed a man still learning how to navigate a world where wealth and kindness didn't always intersect neatly. The ease with which he had viewed Eva as just the housekeeper was cracking, but the path forward remained uncertain. How could he support her without overstepping? How could he bridge the gap between their realities without alienating her? Eva, on her part, remained guarded yet hopeful. The conversation had been difficult, but it opened a door that had long been closed. For the first time, she felt that her struggles might be seen and acknowledged, not just as an inconvenience but as a profound hardship deserving of understanding. Yet, pride and self-reliance kept her cautious, unwilling to surrender control or appear dependent. As the encounter drew to a close, the air between them was charged with unspoken questions. Neither fully equipped to handle the complexities of this new dynamic, they stood at a crossroads. Gregory's perception of Eva was shifting from that of an invisible staff member to a person with a life and challenges he could no longer ignore. But how to proceed with care, respect, and real support was still unclear. This bitter realization that privilege had blinded him and that his assumptions about those who worked for him were incomplete marked a turning point. It was an uncomfortable awakening, but an essential one. The encounter forced Gregory to face truths he had long avoided and to reconsider how he engaged with the world beyond his own comfort. For Eva, it was a moment of vulnerability balanced by the faint hope that this reluctant recognition might lead to something more meaningful. Though uncertain and fraught with difficulty, this chapter of their lives opened the door to a fragile new understanding, a crack in the facade of roles and titles that separated them. It was the beginning of a journey toward empathy, respect, and perhaps, eventual healing. Gregory's restlessness grew with each passing day, a gnawing unease that refused to quiet. Eva's absence from the house, once easily overlooked, now pressed on him with increasing weight. He found himself haunted by the stark reality of her situation, a reality so far removed from his own life of privilege and convenience. Despite his efforts to push the feelings aside, labeling them as not his responsibility, the guilt lingered, sharp and persistent. His thoughts wandered often to his own life, reflecting on the ease with which he had always been able to solve problems. Money was the solution to everything for Gregory, a quick fix, a shield, a way to keep life orderly and predictable. But Eva's struggles were different. Her silence, her pride, and her refusal to ask for help made her problems invisible to the world, yet profoundly real. Unlike him, she couldn't simply buy her way out of hardship. This disparity unsettled Gregory deeply, forcing him to confront an uncomfortable truth: wealth did not equate to understanding or compassion. Determined to offer a genuine solution, Gregory tried to move beyond superficial gestures. Writing a check or offering temporary shelter felt hollow, insufficient. He knew that real help required more than money. It demanded patience, empathy, and respect for Eva's autonomy. However, he quickly encountered barriers that challenged his assumptions. Eva's pride was formidable, a shield forged from years of hardship and self-reliance. She resisted accepting charity, viewing it as an affront to her dignity. Her deep-seated belief that she had to solve her problems alone clashed with Gregory's desire to support her. Each attempt to reach out was met with subtle resistance, a polite but firm deflection. Eva's refusal was not rooted in stubbornness alone but in a profound mistrust shaped by past disappointments. Gregory began to understand that helping her meant more than offering resources. It meant earning her trust and meeting her where she was, without judgment or expectation. This realization humbled him, forcing him to rethink his approach and question his own motives. Meanwhile, Gregory's own world began to unravel. His business, once a source of pride and security, started to falter. Bad investments and distractions caused by his preoccupation with Eva's situation led to mounting setbacks. Colleagues expressed concern, and the pressure to perform intensified. The contrast between his professional struggles and Eva's personal battles created a strange parallel. Both were fighting uphill battles, though in vastly different arenas. This professional turmoil amplified Gregory's internal conflict. He could no longer separate his personal guilt from his business challenges. The two were intertwined, reflections of his growing recognition that money could not solve everything, especially the deeper wounds within himself. His carefully constructed world of wealth and control was cracking, revealing vulnerabilities he had long ignored. As he grappled with these failures, Gregory's perspective began to shift. He confronted the limitations of his previous worldview, the belief that success was measured solely by financial gain and social status. He saw how this mindset had isolated him, creating barriers between himself and those around him, including Eva. His reflections led him to a painful self-awareness. His approach to people had been transactional, lacking true connection or compassion. This chapter is a turning point for Gregory, marking a profound moral and emotional reckoning. He stands at a crossroads, facing a choice between retreating into the comfort of his isolated, affluent bubble or stepping into the uncertain, messy world of genuine human relationships. The latter path promised vulnerability and challenge, but also the possibility of growth and healing. Gregory's struggle is not just about helping Eva but about transforming himself. He begins to understand that true assistance requires humility, acknowledging that he does not have all the answers and that offering support means walking alongside someone rather than leading or rescuing them. This shift challenges his pride and forces him to reconsider what it means to be truly generous. The chapter reveals the complexity of compassion when power and privilege are involved. Gregory's journey underscores the idea that material wealth can ease burdens but cannot replace empathy, understanding, or respect for another person's dignity. His confrontation with Eva's reality exposes the gaps in his own character and the need for deeper personal change. Ultimately, Gregory's story in this chapter is one of awakening. It is a candid exploration of guilt, responsibility, and the courage it takes to face uncomfortable truths about oneself. As he wrestles with his demons, he begins to glimpse a path forward, one that requires dismantling the protective walls around his heart and embracing a more authentic, connected way of living. In this moment of rising stakes, Gregory's moral compass is challenged, pushing him toward a new direction. His choice will shape not only his relationship with Eva but also the kind of man he aspires to become. The chapter closes with the tension unresolved but with a clear sense of transformation underway, a movement from isolation toward connection, from detachment toward empathy, and from denial toward acceptance. Gregory lay awake that night, the weight of his thoughts pressing down on him like a heavy shroud. The silence of his apartment was broken only by the ticking of the clock, each second marking the passage of time he could no longer afford to waste. For years, he had observed Eva from a distance, a quiet figure in the background of his busy life, her presence unnoticed, her struggles unseen. But now, confronted with the reality of her hardships, his indifference gave way to a gnawing sense of responsibility. The decision he made was not spontaneous, it was the culmination of sleepless hours spent reflecting on his past apathy. Gregory understood that his prior assistance had been superficial small acts born out of guilt rather than genuine concern. He realized that true help required more than charity, it demanded commitment and respect. His mind raced with possibilities, not of quick fixes, but of sustainable solutions that could empower Eva to take control of her own life. The following morning, Gregory sought Eva out with a new resolve. When he found her, her face tired yet resilient, he didn't offer the usual casual help or pity. Instead, he spoke with a clarity and sincerity that caught her off guard. "I've been thinking," he began carefully, "about what you're going through. And I realize that what you need isn't just temporary support. I want us to find a way for you to have stability, something lasting. Maybe there's a role you could take on here that's more permanent, or perhaps I could help you pursue further training or education. I want to work with you, not just help you." Eva's eyes widened, suspicion and hope mingling in their depths. She had heard promises before, empty words from those who meant well but never followed through. The offer was generous, but trust had to be earned, and she was cautious. "Why now?" she asked softly, searching his face for signs of sincerity. Gregory met her gaze squarely, his voice steady. "Because I haven't been honest with myself. I ignored your struggles for too long. I saw you only as an employee, not as a person with dreams and challenges. I want to change that. I want to take responsibility." His humility was disarming. For the first time, Eva sensed that Gregory's intentions were genuine. She nodded slowly, willing to explore this new path with cautious optimism. Over the next few weeks, their conversations deepened. Gregory listened attentively as Eva shared her aspirations and fears. She spoke of wanting to finish her education, of skills she hoped to develop, and the barriers that had held her back. Gregory, in turn, committed to helping her navigate those barriers, leveraging his connections and resources to create opportunities. The process was not without its difficulties. Eva's doubts resurfaced at times, and Gregory confronted his own insecurities about whether he could truly make a difference. But their partnership grew stronger through honesty and mutual respect. One afternoon, Gregory sat with Eva in his office, reviewing a plan to enroll her in a professional development course. The excitement in her voice was palpable as she described how this could open new doors for her future. Gregory felt a profound sense of fulfillment, a feeling far removed from the hollow guilt that had once motivated him. This moment was transformative for both of them. Gregory no longer saw Eva as a distant figure tied to his past mistakes, but as a partner in a shared journey. Eva, empowered by his support, began to reclaim her dignity and hope. Through taking responsibility, Gregory discovered empathy in its truest form, not as a fleeting emotion, but as an ongoing commitment to understand and act with compassion. His bold decision marked a turning point in his life, one that redefined his relationship with Eva and reshaped his understanding of what it means to truly help another person. Their collaboration became a beacon of possibility, illustrating that change is possible when one chooses to face the past with honesty and courage. Gregory's journey from ignorance to responsibility opened the door for healing and growth, not only for Eva but for himself as well. After deciding to step in and help Eva, Gregory finds himself thrust into a world of unexpected challenges and consequences. The move, driven by a sincere desire to make a difference in Eva's life, quickly alienates him from those closest to him. His business associates, accustomed to the image of Gregory as a shrewd and detached executive, are bewildered and skeptical. They question his judgment, unable to reconcile the generous acts with the calculating businessman they know. Whispers of doubt spread through his professional circles, and some even begin to see his actions as a sign of weakness or distraction from his career ambitions. This skepticism is echoed by his family and longtime friends, who view Gregory's new behavior as an uncharacteristic deviation from the man they thought they knew. They express concern and confusion, wondering why Gregory would invest so much time and emotion into someone outside his social and economic sphere. Their responses, often tinged with judgment, leave Gregory feeling isolated and misunderstood. The support network he once relied on begins to fracture, as his new values clash with the expectations and assumptions of those around him. This alienation forces Gregory to confront the loneliness that often accompanies true change. He realizes that his former life of comfort and privilege was underpinned by emotional detachment and a refusal to engage with the struggles of others. Eva's circumstances remain challenging despite Gregory's efforts. Her life is marked by uncertainty and the scars of past disappointments, making her cautious and guarded. While Gregory's support opens new possibilities, Eva's pride and independence complicate their interactions. She is wary of becoming dependent or vulnerable, fearing that any help might come with hidden agendas or conditions. This mistrust creates tension between them, as Eva struggles to reconcile her need for assistance with her desire to maintain control over her life. Their relationship is marked by a delicate balance of hope and hesitation, as they navigate unfamiliar emotional terrain together. Gregory's commitment to Eva is unwavering, but it prompts deep self-reflection. As he invests more time, energy, and resources, he starts questioning the true nature of his motives. Is he genuinely focused on Eva's well-being, or is he seeking to ease his own conscience and escape feelings of guilt about his past detachment? This internal conflict unsettles him, as he grapples with the possibility that his desire to help might be entangled with a need for personal redemption rather than pure altruism. The complexity of his emotions challenges Gregory to be honest with himself about the reasons behind his actions and whether they reflect a fundamental transformation or merely a temporary experiment in empathy. This self-examination forces Gregory to confront his capacity for change. He wonders if the man he has been, the cautious, detached businessman, can truly evolve into someone capable of genuine compassion and connection. The fear that he might be playing at redemption rather than fully embodying it haunts him, casting doubt on the authenticity of his newfound purpose. These doubts are compounded by the external pressures and isolation he faces, making the journey toward personal growth fraught with uncertainty and struggle. Despite the turmoil, Gregory's actions begin to alter his perspective on life and success. The stark contrast between his previous existence marked by luxury and emotional distance and his current efforts to help Eva highlights the gaps in his understanding of fulfillment and human connection. He begins to see the limitations of a life defined solely by material achievement and status, recognizing the value in vulnerability and service to others. This realization, while difficult and unsettling, opens the door to a more meaningful and nuanced approach to life. Eva, too, undergoes a transformation, albeit more gradual and cautious. Her interactions with Gregory challenge her assumptions about people in positions of power and privilege. She starts to see that beneath the polished exterior, Gregory is wrestling with his own doubts and struggles. This recognition softens some of her reservations, allowing tentative trust to grow. However, the path toward mutual understanding remains complicated by their differing backgrounds and emotional wounds. The dynamic between them is marked by moments of connection and setbacks. Each step forward is tempered by the need to navigate fears, insecurities, and societal expectations. They both learn that change, whether personal or relational, is rarely straightforward. It demands patience, humility, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. The chapter illustrates the high cost of stepping outside established roles and expectations. Gregory's attempt to rewrite his narrative by helping Eva does not bring immediate reward or acceptance. Instead, it introduces conflict, self-doubt, and isolation. At the same time, it opens up the possibility for authentic growth and deeper human connection. This duality captures the complexity of transformation, how it can be both painful and liberating. Gregory's journey highlights the challenges inherent in breaking free from one's past and the social structures that shape identity. His experience serves as a reminder that true change often requires confronting uncomfortable realities and enduring periods of loneliness before acceptance and understanding can be achieved. The chapter portrays transformation not as a neat, linear process but as a messy and ongoing negotiation between who we have been and who we hope to become. The tension between Gregory's intentions and his perceived image underscores the fragility of reputation and the difficulty of altering deeply ingrained perceptions. The doubts of those around him act as barriers that test his commitment and resolve. At the same time, these external pressures provide a backdrop against which Gregory's internal growth unfolds, creating a rich narrative of struggle and hope. By the end of the chapter, Gregory stands at a crossroads, aware of the costs and complexities of his decision. He understands that helping Eva is not simply about charity or guilt relief but about confronting the deeper aspects of his identity and values. Though uncertain of the outcome, he is compelled to continue on this path, knowing that meaningful change demands courage and persistence. Eva remains cautious but begins to allow glimpses of trust and cooperation. Their relationship, while still fragile and fraught with challenges, represents a tentative bridge between two very different worlds. The chapter closes on this note of fragile possibility, a testament to the idea that facing consequences, both external and internal, is an essential part of any meaningful journey toward growth and redemption. Gregory's journey into deeper emotional terrain begins as his involvement with Eva intensifies. For much of his life, Gregory has been shaped by an upbringing steeped in cold pragmatism, where relationships were viewed primarily as transactions, a means to an end rather than connections of genuine feeling. Raised in an environment that prized success, power, and wealth above all else, he internalized a belief system that valued utility over emotional authenticity. His worldview was one where vulnerability was a liability, and emotional ties were often sacrificed for strategic advantage. Yet, as Gregory spends more time with Eva, these long-held beliefs come under intense scrutiny. Eva's presence in his life forces him to confront the emotional scars left by his upbringing, wounds that he had buried beneath layers of ambition and detachment. He begins to see that his past has shaped not only his behavior but also his understanding of what it means to live a fulfilling life. The transactional nature of his past relationships, once accepted as normal, now feels hollow and insufficient. Through Eva's influence, he starts to question the very foundations of his success-driven mindset. This process is not easy for Gregory. It challenges his sense of identity and the protective walls he has built around himself. He grapples with the discomfort of vulnerability and the fear of emotional exposure. The tension between his old beliefs and emerging desires creates an internal conflict, one that forces him to examine how much of himself he is willing to change. His journey becomes a profound exploration of what it means to connect with others authentically, beyond the superficial trappings of status and power. Eva's struggle runs parallel yet distinct. Her past is marked by deep pain, experiences of abandonment, hardship, and loss that have left indelible marks on her heart. To shield herself from further hurt, she has constructed emotional barriers that keep others at a distance. These walls serve as both protection and prison, limiting her ability to fully trust or embrace intimacy. The scars of her past have shaped her into someone cautious and guarded, wary of opening up to anyone who might cause her pain. Despite her defenses, Eva is drawn to Gregory's kindness and persistence. His consistent presence and genuine care begin to erode the walls she has so carefully erected. Slowly, she begins to reveal her vulnerabilities, her fears of rejection, insecurities about worthiness, and hopes for a future free from the shadows of her past. This opening is a courageous act, signaling a willingness to take emotional risks that she has long avoided. Through this process, Eva embarks on her own journey of healing, one that involves confronting the wounds she has carried and learning to trust again. Together, Gregory and Eva navigate the complex terrain of healing and growth. Their shared struggles create a space where both can explore their vulnerabilities and find solace in mutual understanding. Their connection becomes a source of unexpected strength, a refuge where they can confront their demons without judgment. This dynamic fosters an environment in which healing is possible, even as external pressures loom large. Both face formidable emotional and social obstacles that threaten to unravel the progress they make. Gregory contends with societal expectations and the lingering influence of his upbringing, which cast doubt on the value of emotional openness. His peers and family may view his shift toward vulnerability as weakness or distraction from his ambitions. Similarly, Eva grapples with the fear of being judged or abandoned once more, and the societal stigmas attached to her past. These pressures create an undercurrent of tension, reminding them of the fragility of their newfound connection. Despite these challenges, their bond deepens, revealing the transformative power of genuine human connection. Through their shared journey, they learn that healing is not linear and that setbacks are part of the process. They discover resilience within themselves and each other, finding courage in vulnerability and strength in empathy. Their relationship becomes a testament to the idea that true fulfillment arises not from external achievements but from meaningful, heartfelt connections. Gregory's evolving perspective reshapes his understanding of success. No longer defined solely by wealth or power, success begins to encompass emotional richness and authentic relationships. This shift in worldview represents a significant personal breakthrough, opening doors to new possibilities in how he approaches life and love. Eva's healing journey complements this transformation, as she moves from guarded isolation to openness and trust. The chapter highlights the delicate balance of confronting one's personal demons while nurturing the hope for healing. It portrays the emotional complexity of facing painful pasts and the courage required to embrace change. Gregory and Eva's intertwined journeys reflect the universal struggle to reconcile past trauma with present growth, illustrating how two wounded individuals can support and uplift each other. Ultimately, the chapter underscores the profound impact that connection and vulnerability can have on the human spirit. It reveals that facing personal demons, though daunting, can lead to deep transformation and renewed hope. Through their struggles, Gregory and Eva find not only healing but also a renewed sense of purpose, one grounded in the power of love, trust, and authentic connection. Gregory and Eva's relationship reaches a critical turning point as they begin to move beyond the boundaries of their initial employer-employee dynamic. What once was a purely transactional connection evolves into something deeper, built on trust, mutual respect, and a shared vision for the future. This transition marks a significant moment for both of them, as they acknowledge the potential for a partnership that supports not just professional growth but personal empowerment and genuine companionship. Gregory's decision to involve Eva more deeply in his company is a bold and thoughtful move. Recognizing her talents and dedication, he offers her a more substantial role, one that allows her to contribute beyond traditional responsibilities. This new position involves assisting him with both personal and professional matters, blending the lines between work and life in a way that signifies trust and shared investment. By doing so, Gregory is effectively elevating Eva's status within his world, signaling that she is no longer just an employee but a vital part of his support system. This shift is meaningful for Eva on multiple levels. Professionally, it gives her a chance to develop new skills and gain experience in areas that were previously inaccessible to her. Personally, it provides a sense of validation and respect that had been missing from their earlier interactions. The offer acknowledges her potential and expresses confidence in her abilities, which strengthens her self-esteem and sense of agency. For Eva, this opportunity is more than a job promotion, it is a recognition of her value as an individual. Beyond the professional realm, Gregory also takes steps to address Eva's personal challenges. Aware of the difficulties she faces with her family, he offers financial support to alleviate some of her burdens. This gesture is not merely about charity but about fostering stability and security in her life. By helping Eva manage her family's situation, Gregory demonstrates a commitment to her well-being that extends beyond the workplace. This support strengthens their bond and reflects a partnership based on care and mutual responsibility. However, the most significant aspect of their evolving relationship is the offer Gregory makes for Eva to pursue a career independent of his influence. This proposal is transformative, as it encourages Eva to envision a future where she is self-reliant and empowered to shape her own destiny. Gregory understands that true partnership requires fostering independence, not dependency, and his suggestion embodies this philosophy. He invites Eva to take control of her life, to step into her own power, and to build a career path that reflects her passions and aspirations. This offer is both challenging and liberating for Eva. It requires her to confront fears and uncertainties about leaving behind the security of Gregory's support. Yet, it also opens the door to personal growth and self-actualization. Gregory's encouragement serves as a catalyst for Eva to re-evaluate her goals and consider possibilities she may not have dared to imagine before. It is an invitation to rewrite her story on her own terms. Throughout this process, the evolving dynamics between Gregory and Eva highlight the importance of balance in a healthy partnership. Gregory's role shifts from one of control to one of support, providing resources and encouragement while allowing Eva the freedom to make her own choices. This balance fosters mutual respect and reinforces the foundation of trust they have built. It is a relationship that values autonomy as much as connection, recognizing that each person's growth enriches the partnership as a whole. Their journey also underscores the complexities of redefining relationships that began with clear power imbalances. Moving from employer-employee to equal partners requires vulnerability, honesty, and a willingness to challenge old patterns. Both Gregory and Eva must navigate these challenges carefully, learning to communicate openly and support each other's evolving needs. Their success depends on mutual commitment to growth and an understanding that empowerment is a shared goal. The chapter explores themes of transformation, empowerment, and the redefining of traditional roles. Gregory and Eva's story illustrates how relationships can evolve beyond initial expectations to become sources of strength and inspiration. It celebrates the courage required to break free from limiting dynamics and embrace new possibilities together. Gregory's willingness to share control and resources with Eva demonstrates emotional maturity and a deep sense of partnership. His actions show that true leadership involves lifting others up and fostering their independence. For Eva, this chapter marks the beginning of a new chapter where she is no longer confined by past circumstances or dependent on others for survival. Instead, she is empowered to pursue her own ambitions with confidence and support. The narrative also touches on the broader implications of such transformations in personal and professional relationships. It suggests that success is not solely defined by individual achievement but by the capacity to build connections that nurture growth and resilience. Gregory and Eva's evolving partnership serves as a model for how collaboration and empowerment can create lasting change. As the chapter concludes, the sense of hope and possibility is palpable. Gregory and Eva are no longer bound by the limitations of their original roles but are moving forward together, forging a future that honors their individuality and shared commitment. Their story is one of mutual respect, courage, and the transformative power of believing in each other. This phase of their journey lays the groundwork for what promises to be a fulfilling and balanced relationship, both personally and professionally. By embracing change and prioritizing empowerment, Gregory and Eva set the stage for a future where they can thrive together, partners in every sense of the word.